Hey historians, it's Mrs. Tyler. Today we're going to do Unit 3, Notes 3. This is the Civil War and Reconstruction Unit, and we are calling this set of notes Balancing Act, Compromises Over Slavery. This is the page in our notes packet that we are going to complete. In our last unit, Unit 2, we talked about expanding westward and all of these different land acquisitions that the United States acquired between 1803 to 1853. And during this whole time, every time we add more land, we kind of have the same reoccurring argument happen in Washington, D.C. between our people in Congress, our lawmakers. So here's the first problem we run into. Missouri has asked Congress to become a state. The people of Missouri have decided that slavery will be permitted there. Many slave owners already live there. Northern congressmen, they speak out against allowing the territory to enter the Union as a slave state, since it would mean that now there's going to be more slave states than free states, which means, each state gets to send senators and congressmen to Washington, D.C. to make laws. And this is going to upset the balance. If there's more slave states, they're going to send more people to Congress and make laws in favor of slavery. And the northern states are not okay with this. At the same time that Missouri is asking to become a slave state, Maine, this chunk of Maine that is the northern part of Massachusetts at the time, if you remember back to in Unit 1 when we did our, when we created our map for Unit 1, there was a lot of confusion because a lot of kids were saying, well, wait a second, why do they call Maine Massachusetts? And that's because back then that part of Maine was also connected with Massachusetts. So now Maine has got enough people living in it on its own that they're asking to separate from Massachusetts to become their own state. Okay, Southern congressmen are arguing that the Congress should allow Missouri to the Union as a slave state. Majority of the people who already live there want slavery. If Northerners are allowed to settle in the Louisiana Territory, then Southern slave owners must be allowed to settle there too. And the Northern congressmen are arguing that Congress should admit Missouri, but only as a free state. Louisiana Territory, already became a slave state, so adding another slave state would put the balance off. There'd be 11 slave states and 10 free states. So here's what we come up with. A Missouri Compromise, which is proposed by Senator Henry Clay from Kentucky. He proposed that we admit Missouri. Right here, Missouri would be admitted as a slave state, but then Maine would get to be admitted as a separate free state, so that would make the balance equal at 11 free states and 11 slave states. And to settle all future arguments, they would draw a line, this Missouri Compromise line right here, through the rest of the new Louisiana Territory, and everything north of this line after Missouri, with the exception of Missouri, everything else north of that line would forever be banned to slavery. Anything south of this line, which is not very much left at that time period, remember, we don't have this big chunk of land yet. Anything south of this, well, that would be open to slavery in the future. Okay? So in our notes, you're going to highlight 3 context clues that help us to understand the definition of Missouri Compromise as one of our vocab terms. I chose 1820, Maine a free state, Missouri a slave state. We're going to write down the definition or the explanation in our notes as well. Missouri Compromise was created to maintain a balance in Congress between slave and free states. The free states here, they benefit because Maine is added as a free state and slavery was banned north of 36 degrees 30 north latitude, which is the line of latitude that runs right here. Across the United States. The Southern or slave states, they benefit from this compromise because Missouri gets to be added as a slave state as they asked for. We watched a little video clip, which I'm going to skip with you guys on the video here. The problem, a new problem arises that the Missouri Compromise ties us over for about 30 years. So as a result of winning, though, the Mexican-American War, because we know from our last unit that we didn't stop adding land after the Louisiana Purchase. We won the Mexican-American War. We've also gained the Texas annexation region. The United States has acquired this huge new territory known as the Mexican Cession. A decision needs to be made about whether or not we'll allow slavery in the new lands. The Northern congressmen want slavery banned in the nation's capital. Southern congressmen want runaway slaves to be returned to their owners. Texas annexation has recently been added, so Texas became a part of the United States as a slave state. California has just become part of the new country. They are petitioning to be added as a free state. So the Northern congressmen are saying slavery should not be allowed anywhere in the Mexican cession. The sale of slaves in District Columbia, where the nation's capital is located, Washington, D.C., needs to be against the law, and California should be admitted as a free state. The Southern congressmen in Washington, D.C. are arguing that the soil of their cotton fields is getting worn out. Cotton growers and their slaves need to be able to move into the new territories to continue the economy of the South. If California enters as a free state, then the U.S. will have one more free state than slave state. The balance will be off. They'll get more votes in Congress and in the Senate. So they could make laws that are anti-slavery if they have more power in Washington, D.C. And they want also something to be done to punish people in the North who helped slaves escape. They know that the Underground Railroad is a thing. They're really struggling because thousands of slaves are escaping, and they want a stronger fugitive slave law. So here's what we come up with. Actually, Henry Clay, once again from Kentucky, offers the compromise. This one's called the Compromise of 1850 because that's the year that it is signed into law by Congress. The Compromise of 1850 would admit California as a free state to please the North. It allowed Utah and Mexico territories right here on the map to be added to get to vote. People who live here will get to vote on whether or not those territories allow slavery. California is now a free state. Okay. Slave owners in Maryland can keep their slaves, but you can no longer buy and sell or auction slaves here in the nation's capital. Okay, and then they also passed something called the Fugitive Slave Act that would make it easier for slave owners to find and reclaim escaped slaves. So in your notes, Compromise of 1850, it's the agreement to make California a free state and allow the New Mexico and Utah territories to decide whether or not to allow slavery. Okay, the Fugitive Slave Act, we talked a little bit about in notes 2 when we were talking about resisting slavery. The new Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 required citizens to help catch and return runaway slaves. Anyone who let slaves get away or helped them could be fined $1,000 and spend up to 6 months in jail. It also established a special different court that would hear cases against accused runaway slaves. The judges for these courts would get paid $10 if they ruled to return the accused slave to his or her master or just to return them to the South. But if the judge ruled that the person was free, they would only get paid $5 for their services. And you can kind of see how slanted that's already set up. Northerners hated the Fugitive Slave Act. To them, it meant that they were all required to act as slave catchers. Southerners felt that this law was justified. They considered slaves to be property, and you'd be expected to return someone's property if it was lost or stolen. So Southern slave catchers roamed the North, sometimes capturing free African Americans and accusing them of being runaways. And of course, then the judge would get paid more if they sided with the slave catchers and returned the African American accused person to the South. This is the law that inspired Harriet Beecher Stowe to write her novel Uncle Tom's Cabin. It also meant that those people using the Underground Railroad can't just go to a northern state where slavery is banned. They have to go all the way to Canada to truly reach freedom. So in our notes, Fugitive Slave Act is the law passed as a part of the Compromise of 1850 to force free states to help runaway slaves return to the South. And the Compromise of 1850 addressed the issue of slavery in the land gained from the Mexican cession. The free states benefit because California became a free state and the slave trade is banned in Washington, D.C. The slave states benefit because New Mexico and Utah settlers would get to vote on the issue of slavery, and the Fugitive Slave Act is going to be passed as a law to help them retain their slaves and recapture their escaped slaves. All right, the third situation. This piece over, this compromise doesn't really last very long. By 1854, we have a whole nother problem. Senator Stephen Douglas of Illinois has proposed a bill in Congress hoping to build a railroad from Illinois all the way to California. And the idea of this is massive. But it's also going to, if you remember all of the difficulties and the struggles of all those settlers heading west, Some people were dying, some people getting sick or injured, and some those trips would take months. This could now, what used to take months, could take just a couple of days if you hop on a train. But they need to build the train, and in order to build the train, the senator argues that the Great Plains region needs to be organized into formal territories. So Kansas Territory and Nebraska Territory boundaries are set up. Now that we have new territories, though, we have an argument. Are those territories going to be open or closed to slavery? Well, the Northerners argue, hey, we already decided this. The Missouri Compromise is already established that anything north of that line, 36 degrees north, it's banned to slavery for good. The Southerners argued, well, the Supreme Court said that that's not okay with the ruling of Dred Scott versus Sanford, which you talked about as sixth graders as well. And so that had ruled the Missouri Compromise is unconstitutional. So now we're back to the beginning where we got to figure out what to do. Senator Stephen Douglas tried to make both Northern and Southern congressmen happy. The Kansas-Nebraska Act would allow settlers in these new territories to vote on whether or not slavery would be allowed. The congressman argues that nobody in Nebraska Territory especially is going to vote in favor of slavery because it's just nobody's going to need slaves up here. The climate is unsuitable for growing cotton. It's just not going to work out for them, so they're not going to actually have slavery up there. Would you please highlight the 3 clues in the definition for Kansas-Nebraska Act? And let's fill this in. It addressed the issue of slavery in the territories of Kansas and Nebraska. Settlers in each territory would vote on the issue of slavery. The argument would be that those people that far north are not going to need slaves. And it would abolish the Missouri Compromise. Well, things don't go as planned. The result is that we have massive arguments, people flooding into Kansas Territory from pro-slavery towns nearby in Missouri, and they start attacking, and they're going over to vote illegally, basically, to make Kansas a slave territory. We get that whole situation with John Brown that we talked about in yesterday's notes. He led a raid as in revenge after these border ruffians from Missouri start up some violence in Lawrence, Kansas. John Brown leads a pro-slavery or an anti-slavery raid attacking pro-slavery people in Kansas. And we kick off a set of issues called Bleeding Kansas that's going to last for 3 years. The political backlash is going to be that we start the Republican Party. So this is the end of our notes.